We've owned our home for 8 years, and in all that time, I still haven't completed the kitchen makeover. We have managed to accomplish a few things, including painting the cabinets, which I painted white, though not very well in my opinion, but life just kept getting in the way of finishing the project. Over the years, I've grown tired of the all-white look as I've discovered that my personal style leans more toward a dark and moody aesthetic with layers of modern, traditional, and vintage elements. I've completed part of the painting in our kitchen, and it's motivated me to finish the rest by the holidays. To avoid feeling overwhelmed by this project, I'm breaking the kitchen into sections and tackling one area at a time. It's like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Even before we ever toured our home, I knew from the online photos that I wanted to remove the upper cabinets, separating the kitchen from the living room. With plenty of cabinet space in the kitchen, getting rid of these wasn't going to be an issue. We replaced the countertops with luxury vinyl flooring, and it's held up beautifully over the past 5 years. The cabinets, or as I call them, the buffet, were very narrow since both sides were used for storage. The side facing the living room had doors and open shelving, which we never used. So 4 years ago, my middle son closed off the cabinets and installed some beautiful wainscoting. When I say that projects take me a while, I'm not exaggerating. I primed the wainscoting soon after my son finished the project, but I didn't actually paint it until last year. I was so indecisive about the color, but eventually I decided to use the same color I had painted the coffee bar, Kindle Charcoal by Benjamin Moore. I loved it so much, and I just knew it would look fantastic on the buffet. After removing the upper cabinets, we had a light fixture installed and framed the area with molding. Since matching the paint color on the ceiling would be very difficult, we had molding installed to create a smooth transition, allowing me to paint the entire area the same white as the crown molding. There was one more issue I had to address in this area, and that was the gap between the crown molding. It took me over a year to figure out how to fix it, and I'll show you what I did later in the video. I'm so glad I set this tent up downstairs in the utility room. If you watched, I think the video before this, or maybe before that, I cleaned out the utility room. It was a mess. It was a huge mess. So I did organize it, mainly so I could put this tent in here. It is so hot. It's in the 90s. The humidity is outrageous. I'm hoping with it being cooler down here, the cabinets will look better than the first round of cabinets I did. They don't look horrible. I've asked Mr. C and my son, could they tell the difference or see anything that stands out to them that doesn't look right? They can't. I can see the imperfections. So I'm hoping this time around I'll get it correct. The only problem I am going to have is that there is plastic around just two sides. I figure I could just spray two sides. Once I get through, just hang them on the other side. But I can't turn these without them hitting the plastic, and I don't want them to be wet and hit the plastic. So I'm going to have to spray the fronts and then somehow hang them where I can spray the back of them and then hang them over to the side. We'll get it figured out. But I still like doing this instead of being out in 90-degree weather. My plan to spray all the cabinets downstairs under the little painting tent I set up didn't go as planned, because as I was putting the primer on all of the cabinets, Hank, it terrified him. The sound just kind of went through the entire house. He was hiding in the linen closet. So after I had everything primed, I then took everything outside and painted everything in the heat because I didn't want him to be so anxious. And when it was outdoors, it didn't seem to bother him as much if I put him in a different room away from where the sound was coming from. So I ended up painting all of these outdoors. I do have all of them on except for two. I need to put those two on, and then I'm going to put some shelf liner, just some clear shelf liner in all of these. And then I'll share with you what I'm going to be putting in here. I consider this the buffet. During the holidays, we set everything up on here and everybody just kind of helps themselves. But I love this little area, but now it's time to get the doors on and get it organized. So as I'm putting these in the cabinets, I really need to put my double-sided tape down and let them sit that way, but I can't find my double-sided tape at the moment. But this is just a clear liner, and it's really going to help make it easier to wipe down the cabinets. But I think the double-sided tape is just going to help keep everything from moving as we're pulling stuff in and out of here. Not that we're going to keep a lot in here. I really don't want to keep a lot in these cabinets. Just mainly dog food, water, things like that. I don't want them cluttered. In the past, I kept this set of cabinets extremely cluttered, and I have fond memories of my mom helping me declutter them. No matter what project I was working on, my mom was always there to lend a hand. I miss her so much. She was always willing to help me with anything I asked. So this time around, I'm keeping only the bare minimum in these cabinets to avoid the need for future decluttering, especially since my sweet mother is no longer here to help me. In addition to redoing all the cabinets, I'm also going to be working on my pantry. The shelves are out. I have stuff all over the counters. But what I'm thinking for these two shelves right here, I am going to be putting all of my holiday things in here. I want to go ahead and start going through all my recipes, and each week buying the ingredients I need that can sit on a shelf and just put them in here in the cupboards. Put my recipes in here. That way, when time comes, I'll know where everything is at, because at the moment, it's like chaos in here with stuff on the counters. So if I can just designate a space for the upcoming holidays, that's going to make my life a whole lot easier. In the video, maybe a couple videos before this one, I painted everything on this side of the kitchen, and I really messed up the top of the cabinets. I did resand everything, and then I sprayed them. I also got a new sprayer. The one I had could not keep up with the new air compressor we purchased, so I bought an LP sprayer, and I love it. And everything come out looking so good. I mean, it feels like glass. It is so great, but there's still stuff sitting over here because now I'm working on the rest of the kitchen, so drawers are out and everything is just sitting right here for me to look at for a little while. After the cabinets were removed, we noticed that the crown molding on the left side was larger than the one on the right. This wasn't an issue when the cabinets were in place because the difference wasn't visible. But once the cabinets were gone, the mismatch became very noticeable. To fix this, I came up with the idea of using a couple of wood corbels and some trim to camouflage the area and add a bit of custom millwork to give the buffet some character. I am so impressed with this. My son did such a great job in making my vision become a reality. This really, it gives it a visual transition from the living room into the kitchen without those cabinets here. And I really wanted an open space for this main area. When I saw the pictures online for this house, I saw the cabinets here and I'm like, that doesn't go there. It just, when you walk in through the sunroom and you saw those, it just, to me visually, I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. So I thought, we'll rip these down. Wasn't a big deal to get rid of that cabinet space because there are a ton of cabinets in this kitchen. But once we took all that down, you could see the difference in the ceiling, the ceiling color. And I knew I would never get the exact shade of white for the place where we took the cabinets out to match the actual ceiling. So, you know, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I had the idea of framing it out. And someone else did that, a friend of ours, they framed the top. I could never think of what to do here. And then recently, and we've had these cabinets down for probably 5 years. So recently I just came up with this and I love it. I think it goes with it and it looks like it was meant to be here. My son does such a great job when it comes to millwork. He did the wainscoting. He's also done repairs in our home. He is so gifted and talented when it comes to working with his hands. Takes after my father quite a bit. My father in his younger days was a carpenter and he was also a painter. So I do believe my son inherited some of that from him. But this looks fantastic. And all I have to do now is caulk everything to give it a very seamless look, paint it white, and then we'll be through with the buffet area. On the other side of the buffet, I have the beautiful bay window. Now, I used to have beautiful pleated curtains on there a couple of years ago. Had them up there for a few years. I love them. I saved up the money to buy them. They were not cheap. They were from JCPenney. They don't even make that brand anymore for JCPenney. They're just so beautiful. I mean, they look like ones you would get from Pottery Barn, but a lot cheaper. But when our dog Hank found us and we welcomed him into our home, him and Bruiser had a peeing contest. I guess just marking territory. I guess because Hank was new and they were kind of rivals. I'm not sure what it was. My curtains took the brunt of their peeing contest. But I didn't throw them away because I loved them so much. So I had a friend just cut off all of the part where they had peed on so I could use somewhere else in my home. And I haven't had curtains up there for a couple of years now. So when Sola reached out to me to have some custom curtains made, I knew this was the right time because since then, the two of them have been very good boys. They have not marked anything in the house, so I thought this would be the perfect time to add some beautiful custom drapes to that area. This is going to be kind of like adding a little bit of jewelry to the window. The curtains I chose are the pleated linen blackout curtains in the color cream, and for the pleat, I chose the goblet style header. To me, nothing looks more polished than a pleated curtain. The details on this fabric is so luxurious. I love the checkerboard detail to the fabric, and the liner is thick and made of high quality fabric. I also chose to have the curtains trained to keep their shape by opting for the body memory shape so the folds stay in place. If you would like to browse the curtains and other home decor Sola offers, I will leave a link below where you get 10% off your entire order. And I want to thank Sola for sponsoring this video. I love how these look. I love the color. I love everything about them. I chose the goblet header for the pleat. Absolutely stunning. And I also had it where it's a memory body shape where the pleats will always stay like that. So I never have to worry about trying to get the pleats, like steam them, because I have done that with other curtains. These you do not. If you get the memory shaper with it, they look so good. And I did not have them made where I could completely open them all the way up or close them to cover the window. Mainly because we do have a motorized blind and it is blackout. So in the evenings, we just go ahead and put the blind down. So these are more like jewelry for the window, just to flank the window, to give it a little bit of definition. I felt like it was very naked without any curtains right there. This part is the eat-in part of the kitchen. So I am looking for a table, chairs, and a rug to put here. Hopefully I can get that done by Thanksgiving. So I need to go to the thrift store and start looking for tables and chairs. But I love how these look. The quality is amazing, and I want to thank Sola for sponsoring this part of the video. I want to keep the buffet mostly free of decor since we use this area to serve guests during the holidays. To keep it simple, I created a beautiful orchid arrangement that can stay year-round and be easily removed when the buffet is in use for the holidays. This is the second orchid arrangement I created for my home. It was so easy to create and, in my opinion, looks just as good as the ones you would buy from Restoration Hardware or Pottery Barn, but at a fraction of the cost, and this was the finishing touch to my kitchen buffet makeover.